He was also the best Canadian ever in anime, JJ in Yuri on Ice.
No.
Best song
No.
in that entire show.
No.
No contest. No
I'm
contest.
No.
JJ, no one defeats me.
I'm deporting him.
This is who I am.
You're
baby.
deporting JJ. Why would you do this?
Because he is a bad representation of this country.
All you Canadians need to aspire to be JJ.
No.
Yes.
No.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai. And join me tonight, we have our Chivalry of Shotaro.
I put the lube in Louboutins.
And our poser extraordinaire, Nitai.
I'm not even gonna try and follow that up. I'm out of words.
I'm so glad that I don't know what you're gonna say before we do this, because it wouldn't be anywhere near as funny. I like the fact that you keep your intros to yourself until we actually record.
It's always a surprise with me.
It is. It is.
Show doesn't like to prematurely blow his load. if
Wow.
You know what
No,
I mean.
you gotta build it up, you know.
Yeah, just he wants to reach like a good climax.
Yeah.
Like a snafu climax.
No.
Oh baby!
No.
Ooh!
This is what we
Don't-
call
don't ever-
foreshadowing to a future episode, boys and girls.
Don't ever make that joke again, please. Don't load my girls.
All right, so on tonight's episode of the podcast, we have all gotten together to discuss some of our favorite voice actors and voice performances in anime. But before we actually get to that, we actually have a bit of, two bits of sad news that kind of relate to voice acting. Not just kind of, they are voice acting related. About two voice actors recently that have passed away. One of them being Hikari Yono, who recently passed away. She passed away on November 15th. It hasn't been officially announced what she died of, but she was being, quote, treated for an illness at the time of her passing. I guess take that for whatever you want to take it for. If you don't know her, she probably most recently she was provided the voice of the narrator in Burn the Witch. Which, Natai, have you watched that yet? Because I know you wanted to.
I want to, but I haven't. The usual.
She also was in the anime movie Howl. She also played a voice in Sailor Moon Crystal Season 3. What else has she done? She had a bit part in Naruto back in the day as well.
How old was she when she passed away?
I don't know. It doesn't say here in the article how old she was, just that she passed away on November 15th. She looks kind of young, though. I don't know. I probably should have looked this up before we started recording. Hold on.
Damn, tackling you on the spot while we're live.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't say. Oh, she was born October 8th, 1974.
Oh, she's been around.
Yes.
I mean, she is still young, but...
I mean, yeah, too young to die, but still. And, well, speaking of too young to die, another voice actor that recently passed away was English dub voice actor Kirby Morrow. He passed away at the tender old age of 47. This was on November 18th. It doesn't say in this what he died of either. I know that there's been some speculation online that it may have been suicide. But that hasn't been confirmed. So, but Kirby Morrow, a lot of people will probably know him. Outside of anime, he was the voice of Cyclops in X-Men Evolution.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Actually, very recently, in fact, the very last thing that he was doing in anime, at least, was he reprised his role as Miruku in the Inuyasha sequel, Yashahime, which is kind of ironic when you think about it, because now in I believe last year it was that the original voice of Miruku in Inuyasha, the Japanese voice, passed away. So now both the English and the Japanese voice actor for that same character have passed away.
It's a cursed role.
Maybe, I don't know. It's really weird. Something else that a lot of people might also recognize him in. He was in the Death Note English dub. He played Mikami.
Delete.
Delete.
It's that guy, yeah.
Yeah, it is. And probably way back in the day, this was before Funimation actually got a hold of Dragon Ball. He was the original English voice of Goku in the Ocean Productions dub of Dragon Ball Z. That was way back in the day.
Short sidebar. It is kind of interesting hearing those like stories about those like lost dubs that could have been of some of these shows, like whether it's this dub of Dragon Ball or like the first dub that could have been for Gurren Lagann, which had the original English voice actor of Asuka as Yoko. It's pretty cool stories, but yeah, sad to see these talented individuals pass away for those reasons or whatever happened.
Yeah, it is sad, especially being both of them being rather young.
Yeah,
I mean, 47. I mean, that's only 17 years away from me. That's not good.
You have time to have a kid.
Thank you, show.
But if you have one now, they'll be 17 when you pass away.
I don't even want to think about that. Thank you, show, for bringing
We're
that
going
to my
down a weird
attention.
rabbit hole right now. Okay.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, definitely sympathies to their families. And yeah, that thing you mentioned, Natai, about the lost dubs, that might be a good topic for a future episode at some point. But yeah, moving on to actual happy things. So voice acting, it's a very important thing. Shut up. I'm trying to make it a graceful transition. I'm not doing a very good job of it. Voice acting is probably one of the most, definitely one of the most important aspects to anyone enjoying an anime, whether you're talking about an original Japanese dub or a English dub or any kind of a foreign language dub for that matter. So I wanted us to talk about some of our favorite performances, some of our favorite voice actors. And yeah, we're going to talk about some dubs too. Although I think it's safe to say that most of us, well, actually all of us on the podcast probably don't watch a whole lot of English dubs these days.
No.
Yeah. It's funny. The thing that got me on this, if you type in, at least when I type in, greatest voice acting performance in anime, do you know what comes up on YouTube?
What does come up on YouTube, Alex?
It's a scene from an anime called When Supernatural Battles Became Commonplace, Natai.
What? I could have never expected that.
I know.
I never heard of that show.
Well, I'm going to tell you about it in time. This is all funny because we talk about this scene like at least once a year, like between all of us on the podcast.
Every now and then this scene will just pop up, whether it's like on fucking anime like Facebook groups or Discord servers or it just pop up now and then.
Yeah, but so if you don't know what I'm talking about, so back after Studio Trigger did Kill la Kill, they did their
and Inferno Cop.
Yeah, and Inferno Cop.
Sorry.
Yes. Their first production after that was their only manga adaptation that they've ever worked on, called When Supernatural Battles Became Commonplace. Now, I want to say I have seen this because it's a Trigger anime. It looks nothing like any other Trigger anime. It looks very generic, and it feels very generic. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's very average. However, one thing it has become known for, at least within the anime sphere, is a single scene which has just become known as the I don't understand scene. And it's phenomenal to watch because the scene starts out as like really kind of slow. It's just two characters in the show, two of the main characters communicating with each other and just talking back and forth, and it sounds like they're just talking about bullshit. And all of a sudden, one of the characters just goes on this like almost 3.5 minute long tirade that just doesn't even. It's like there's no punctuation in this at all. It's all like one sentence. It just comes right out.
It goes from 0 to 100 really fucking fast.
Yes, it does. It's really hard to talk about this without actually having it here, but
pretty much it's like one of the characters is talking bullshit about whatever game or fucking D&D or whatever shit he's talking about, and then the other character, a female character, I don't know what the relationship is, but she's like, pretty much, I just don't understand what you're talking about, and it just goes on that whole tangent of, like, I guess it's sort of, you can direct it out of the otaku culture as a whole, but that, like, how we gonna like, caught up in our own lingo and bullshit and whatever, and it's just kind of impenetrable to her, you know? She just doesn't know how to communicate with that guy.
Stop being a weird nerd and speak like a normal person. What is wrong
with you?
Pretty much.
That's basically what she's saying, and she's expressing a level of frustration that I think a lot of people who don't understand what that stuff is all about would do. Like, so I don't want to. I can't like recommend the anime because it's really not that great.
I mean, it's not that bad either.
Like I say, it's very, very average, and that's one of the things that makes this stand out. Like, it's a phenomenal voice acting performance in an otherwise kind of forgettable anime. Definitely a forgettable seasonal anime.
Also, like, the animation in the scene itself is really fucking good when it comes to her performance. Like, the animation really complements her performance quite a bit.
It does. And so this entire scene, it's not like they're walking around. It's two characters who were stood in their respective places in the middle of like a dining room area. And that's it. I mean, there's nothing. So the animation in the scene is just camera angles constantly changing. And it's like, holy shit. It's almost like Monogatari levels of character angles changing. But there's so much emotion in that, and it feels so fucking real. It also, some behind the scenes knowledge. The entire thing was done in a single take, which is phenomenal when you see this like in the flesh. Like, how the hell do you get through this in one take?
Yeah, it's kind of incredible, like, how much emotion and, like, just so much humanity you hear in that performance. It feels real. It feels like for a second, it doesn't feel like a Japanese cartoon just, like, speaking in a high voice or whatever, just something really stupid. It feels like a person just absolutely pouring their heart out in one scene.
It genuinely feels like someone who's had enough and she's going to tell you all about it. That's exactly how it feels. It's so good, and it's an example of just absolutely phenomenal voice acting. That was me trying to stifle a burp right there. You're welcome, John. And I definitely, if you haven't seen it, I will link it below wherever you're listening to and or watching this, below the YouTube link to go see it. I definitely recommend watching this if you haven't seen it. And yeah, I do kind of recommend watching the anime so you can actually see this scene in context. Because I really don't want to spoil too much about it. It makes, out of context, this seems like just someone having a fucking meltdown, which it kind of is. But in context, it makes a lot more sense as to why she's going off on him like she is.
And also, out of context, it kind of sells you on, oh, I should really fucking watch this show. And then everyone's like, oh, and actually, it's whatever.
It does. Something also to keep in mind about this is the voice actor that actually does this scene is a little voice actor called Saori Hayami, which I know is someone you wanted to talk about, Nitai.
So I honestly didn't know I know this scene for the longest time, and I know of it, and I saw it like a few times by now. But I honestly didn't know it was her. So when we were like getting prepared to record this episode, I was like sort of, I don't want to say on a whim, because I have been watching Snafu again for the past 2 weeks or so, and it's great, and she is one of my favorite aspects of that show. And so that's why I want to talk about it. But it's good to know that it really surprised me to learn that she's the one who voiced that specific scene, that character. It's because it is an incredible performance. But yeah, as I was saying, so rewatching Snafu, a really good time, just a good, like, a favorite of mine. And yeah, a lot of her characters, and sort of like she can get pigeonholed into specific, like the archetype of, you could say, the Ice Queen, very sort of cold, sometimes monotone, very deadpan humor a lot of times when with her characters. And yeah, you sort of get that with Yukino Yukinoshita, which is her character in Snafu. But specifically that role, I think I feel like she pulls a lot of, like, she pulls a lot of, you could say, like, emotional punches, in terms of she walks down really well between leaning into that archetype at first, because that whole show likes to play with the like certain archetypes in general. But then suddenly you get this, like, sort of warmth from her in other specific scenes. I'm not gonna go into details here, especially since we will have a certain spoiler cast about Snafu. But there are quite a few scenes where whether it's like her breaking, or I don't want to say monotone, but that sort of like cadence in her voice and giving it more warmth, which just sort of takes you aback a bit, because you're like, oh, she's more than this sort of like intelligent yet cold person in this show, but then sometimes she doesn't. That she really likes to lean into that monotone cadence of her in other roles, specifically Ononoki from Monogatari, which I will talk about Monogatari in more in later on in the show. But
I like how you misspelled it here as Monogatari.
I did.
Monogatari, actually.
Monogatari.
I'm Monogatrying really hard right now. Anyway. I mean, yeah, so Ononoki is like on like the other end of the spectrum, really monotone, leaning much harder into that deadpan humor, because I mean that's sort of what makes the character great, You have anything you want to add to that whole aspect of her?
I mean, I just want to say, I unironically believe that Ononoki is the third best character in the Monogatari series.
Yeah, she's great.
But yeah, I think a lot of that is helped by Hayami's performance. Like, she does do the deadpan stuff really, really well. Like you say, in Snafu, in Monogatari, and I mean, hell, Fubuki in One Punch Man. That's another good example of her doing deadpan humor really well.
Is that character for the second season?
No, I think it was.
Is that a character from the second season?
She was in the first season.
Is that not the green-haired character?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
With like
I'm not
the
gonna
black,
lie.
like, I don't know, dress that like psychically levitates.
Yes.
Okay, I believe you.
I mean, she didn't have that much screen time, but she was there.
No, but I mean, she did that whole deadpan stuff really well.
But we haven't even talked about her best role as Yumeko Jabami in Kakegurui.
Okay, that was a huge departure from her regular roles.
Yeah, but like,
no, lay it on me. I want to hear about it.
Okay, you guys clearly appreciate her regular roles, but I'm not too hot on her cold voice acting, but I am hot on her hot voice acting, specifically when she's having an orgasm into the mic because the cards are in the right positions and she is also in the right position. So, oh my god, Yumeko Jabami, I live for her. I love that, like, regularly she's just like, oh, I'm just an innocent, normal schoolgirl and I just want to have fun. But then as soon as she, like, starts playing games, she's like, I'm an evil witch and you are my sex slave and I will whip you all day and you're gonna like it. And I'm like, yes, that is exactly what I want from a person and a voice actress. That's what I want in general. So, Saori Hayami, queen of life.
Yeah. I mean, I love the fact that, I mean, you see her, the way she does Jibami in Kakegurui. It's like, this girl's got some range when it comes to her acting. It's really impressive.
Oh, honey.
I mean, she can do like the laid back or cold Ice Queen, I guess, for lack of a better term, like Natai said, and then she can do absolute batshit crazy.
Yeah, whatever Yumiko Jabami is, she can do that.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy.
A lot of like seiyus get sort of pigeonholed into specific archetypes. Like, we can talk all day about Ria Takahashi's like just wait, is it Ria Takahashi?
I think are you talking about Ria Kugamiya, the Tsundere
Ria
queen?
Kugamiya, yeah, fucking sorry about that.
Get
yeah,
your
Ria
fucking
Kugamiya
you fucking racist.
No, I don't know why I was thinking of Ria Takahashi. I mean, I fucking love her, but nah, not her. Yeah.
Well, since you brought up
the point I was trying to make, was just like a lot of these series getting pigeonholed into like specific archetypes, but then it's interesting to see how they like sort of like go into more certain nuances between different characters that might share that archetype,
Yeah. Well, since you brought up typecasting and specifically Ria Kugamiya being like the Tsundere queen, I mean, she back in the early to mid 2000s, she pretty much only played Tsundere characters. Probably the most famous being Taiga from Toradora.
Yeah.
And for a while, I mean, she got the occasional role where she wasn't doing that, but she was only doing that. And then like around 2010 or so, she started getting more roles, but she never shied away from doing the tsundere parts that she was typecast into. She kind of embraced it, unlike some other voice actors. But I was going to say about being typecast, and you brought up Ria Takahashi. I was so scared that was going to happen to her when she got
it didn't.
cast. No, when she got cast as Megumin in Konosuba. Like I saw this and I'm like, she's really, really good at playing these Chinibyo characters, this particular Chinibyo character, and this character is really, really popular. I so sincerely hope that she doesn't get typecast into just doing this, because having heard her and other stuff before that and even after, I'm like, God, she's kind of talented. It'd be a shame if she only played one character.
Yeah, and then she just shows up as Amelia and just nails it. And then I was like, oh, she can just do anything she wants, honestly.
She's also Takagi in Teasing Master Takagi-san, and she does that really well.
Yeah, she's done a lot of stuff in the past few years. Yeah,
I know you love Takagi. You want her to step on you.
No. She's like 5.
When does that stop you?
Wow. I have limits.
But no, I'm so happy when it doesn't happen. I mean, I know that there are some voice actors that can play certain types of characters really, really well, and it's great to see. But I think it's also a mark of a not necessarily great voice actor if you literally can only play one type of character. It is fun to watch voice actors be able to branch out and do other stuff from time to time.
But I think like the moment you know like they're super talented is even if they're like you notice even if like you're watching a show and then you learn that it's that actor who plays that character, because of course it's the same archetype or whatever. It's like the moment you stop noticing and just see the character for what they are, I think then they still do a great job,
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to figure out I was going to try and figure out a way to segue into something that Sho had that he wanted to talk about, but I literally can't. Actually, no, I mentioned Takagi-san, and you have Yuki Kaji written down, so go.
No. So speaking of typecasted people, there's a man who always plays growling, angry people, which is Nobuhiko Okamoto, whose name, honestly, I always forget because... apparently it's not a memorable name, but that's his name. And at least for me, the most memorable role he's played is Bakugo in My Hero Academia. Even though I have my problems with My Hero Academia, I still love Bakugo because I love someone who's just angry all the time and yells at me. And he has that great, guttural, I hope that's a word, sound where he's just like, I'm so angry. And I'm like, yes, growl at me. So much of his voice comes like
so much of his voice comes straight from the back of his throat.
Oh yeah, there's that little hoarse grumbling that really comes out. And yeah, he does that quite frequently because he also played the main character Rin Okamura in Blue Exorcist, who's like a demon. So when he gets when he loses control, he's like very animalistic and he like growls at people. And recently he's played Garfield in the second season of ReZero, who is very animalistic and very angry and very growly.
Literally an angry cat boy.
Yes.
He plays so many angry characters. It's unbelievable. Like, he's also the voice of Accelerator in Raildex.
I see.
I mean,
He
there
looks
is no
angry.
angrier boy.
Does he growl in Raildex as well?
He certainly yells a lot.
Yes, we love someone yelling at us. And I don't know, this is kind of like not as growly, but kind of. He also plays Yu Nishinoya in Haikyuu, which who doesn't love Nishinoya?
He's the best
I
boy.
know, he is the bestest. So yeah.
He is well, I don't know if he's as good as Hinata, but he's up
No,
there.
he's not as good, but he can try to be. He can get there.
He is the best.
By the way, there is someone I know Natai knows that he's played recently as well.
Who's that?
Gyachio from JoJo's Part 5.
That's right, my boy. Just goes on tangents about pronunciation of Italian names. Just
Oh
what
my.
the fuck, dude? No, it's great. It's the same thing though. Like, yeah, like we're talking about sort of typecasting, but again, sort of when you watch him in Haikyuu, he's much more,
Toned down a little.
toned down, yet much more energetic and upbeat. You know.
Mhm.
And then you got like Bakugo. No, actually, scratch that. Like even in ReZero, we're just angry and just ferocious with how he just shouts at everything, But it's not shouting for the sake of shouting. Like there's more to it than that,
Mhm.
I like to think of his voice as like he's a teenage boy going through PMS.
Oh.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like when he talks sometimes. Just like
Are you struggling with PMS, Alex? Do we need to talk about this?
constantly?
Are you struggling
Did you
with
hear
your
that he
identity, your mistaken identity as a teenage boy? Do we need to talk about this?
Yes, but I think I need professional help at this point.
Oh dear. Oh no.
Oh boy. Did you hear about that? He had like what was that? Like a surgery or whatever. Like this past year, I think.
Who?
Yeah, he
him,
had some
okay.
like vocal cord surgery or something. didn't
Not Alex.
yeah, not me. No. I haven't had any surgery. I'm looking here on Wikipedia. I do remember. I'm pretty sure it was him who had to go on hiatus for a little bit because of vocal cord surgery or some
Yeah,
kind of
pretty
surgery.
much.
That's what happens when you
Just
growl
shouts too
every
much.
day, all day.
Mm.
Just rip those cords right out.
I like this. So I'm looking at he has a page on Wikipedia. I'm looking at it under personal life. It says other things, but it says he is a practicing Catholic. In his spare time, he plays video games. Thank you. This is definitely need to know stuff. Wikipedia.
Okay. Sure.
All right. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute.
Alex.
On March 21st, 2020, Akamoto revealed that he is married to Asuka Ogame after something that I can't pronounce, reported allegations of him having an extramarital affair. Wow.
Oh.
What a piece of shit.
He's
it sounds
in
like.
an open relationship.
I'm moving on. No,
Okay.
I do like how well he plays the angry boy thing. It's really good and it's fun to watch sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It was certainly fun to watch with Garfield in ReZero Season 2.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that noise?
I don't know. I was being genuine. I was not being sarcastic.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sure.
What? I can't wait for January to come around and see more of him.
Okay.
Please.
I mean, me either. I mean, January is going to be pretty good though, but we'll get to that in a future episode as well.
Hey.
No, so I guess on sort of a similar spectrum of of Okamoto, I want to talk about literally the happiest man in the world, and that being Mamoru Miyano is probably my favorite Japanese voice actor. Probably.
He is great. He is up there.
People say, like, would you like to meet him and spend a day with him? No, I want to become him. I want to be this man. He seems like the happiest motherfucker in existence. So for those who don't know, Mamoru Miyano is probably most famous for 2 or 3 roles. He's Okabe in Steins Gate. He was Kotaro in Zombieland Saga. And probably what a lot of people, at least my age, know him for is he was Light Yagami in Death Note, for the 5 people my age who actually watched the Japanese dub of Death Note.
Wouldn't know.
He was also the best Canadian ever in anime, JJ in Yuri on Ice.
No.
Best song
No.
in that entire show. No contest. No contest.
No.
JJ, no one defeats me.
I'm deporting him.
This is who I am.
You're
baby.
deporting JJ. Why would you do this?
Because he is a bad representation of this country.
All you Canadians need to aspire to be JJ.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No one defeats him.
And he's also in a show that both myself and Show really liked a lot, Carol and Tuesday. He was at the gun. But yeah, I fucking love him because like a lot of the characters he plays are very much over the top. Like all the characters I just listed are insanely over the top, like crazy characters. And it's so fun to watch because you can definitely tell that Miyano is putting like an enormous amount of effort into. I say that, but it doesn't seem like he is. It seems like he's just being himself most of the time, especially in Zombieland Saga. I am not unconvinced that Zombieland Saga is just not an idea that sprang forth from his own mind. And he's like, hey, I have an idea. Let's do an anime about zombies, and I just get to play myself.
It seems that at least in the original shows that he's been a part of, that his roles were definitely written specifically for him.
It does seem like Okabe in Steins Gate. I cannot imagine anyone else playing that role better than he did.
And it's like, it's fun seeing like the different level of Miyanoisms, I suppose, you know? Because, yeah, in Steins Gate he's like a fucking Chunibyo dumbass thingy. But in the more emotional parts, he's very grounded, you know? He, like, as much as, like, at the beginning he might seem just like a nut job, he certainly feels like a real person in the more emotional scenes.
Yeah,
but
like
then
a good example toward the end of Steins Gate, there's a scene where he and Kurisu are having like a really genuine conversation, and it comes off as like really well done, even though it's him acting like an actual fucking human being for the first time in the story.
I mean, I will shit talk Steins Gate Zero all day, but goddamn, that like episode 8, that whole scene between him and Kurisu is just absolute. Their performances just saves that entire episode, and it's absolutely incredible.
Oh, and again, I mean, a lot of people like to shit on Steins Gate Zero, but even further along in the show, that the I forget which episode that it is, but the episode where Hoen Kyoma gets reborn.
Hoen Kyoma.
That scene is so fucking well acted by him. He sells it so goddamn well.
Yeah, but it is fun, like, from one show to another. See, like, it's still Mamoru Miyano, but just different levels of him, you know?
And then you look at a role like Yagami in Death Note. It's like he can also play morally questionable characters really, really well, too. It's just, God, he's fun to watch. Miyano is one of those voice actors where if I hear he's going to be in something, it's a real thing for me to try and watch that. Like even if it's an anime where I don't think I'm going to like it at all based on whatever its premise is, like just knowing that Miyano's in it, I'm like, I gotta check that out.
I'm honestly
he's super talented.
Not a big fan of him because he's kind of like too much, and his voice sounds a little too wacky for me. But I do appreciate when he plays the more toned down roles. Like, I liked him as Kida in Durara. And I also liked him as Reinhardt in Legend of the Galactic Heroes, the newer one. Even though that's like very against his typecast. Like, that's like the polar opposite of what you would expect of him. Like a very serious, very like all business, no funny, no bullshit character. I think he played it pretty well, which I guess you wouldn't necessarily expect from him. But I was happy because I was not enthusiastic that he was listed as the voice actor for this like military general, and I'm like, no, I just want a serious person. But he did it pretty well, so good for him.
I
Hey,
was gonna
Alex.
say, like, he does a really good job as Reinhardt, and I kind of was like you when I saw them, like, this doesn't seem like a good fit for him. But then I heard him do the role, and I'm like, wow, he really can do this understated stuff really good. Yeah, give him a chance. Like, this is the thing. Like, even if you're hiring a voice actor that is known for something else, give him a chance. They might surprise you.
I have one thing to add to that conversation.
Hmm.
Nice or bad?
Nice bed. Oh god, I can't wait for this second season of Zombieland Saga. I don't care if it's a sequel or a prequel. I just want to see more of that character.
Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go.
And I genuinely can't wait to see more of the Legend of Galactic Heroes remake. It's been great so far.
Yeah, I think they announced that the sequel or the release date for the new stuff, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
it's sometime
They're
in
still working
2021,
on it,
right?
right?
Well, at least there's plans in the works.
Yeah, I think I don't know for a fact. I think what they're doing is they're going to redo the entire thing, but over the course of several years.
I mean, I don't mind.
isn't the original like super
I
long?
can
Oh
wait.
yeah, I mean the original came out over the span of like 10 years as well.
Well,
And
there
I
you
think
go.
the new one is covering more content, so like,
It's a more faithful adaptation of the original source material, I think.
so this is gonna be possibly even longer than the first adaptation.
We shall see.
Still
but-
gonna end before Berserk.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think it's naive of you to think that Berserk is ever going to end. But speaking of Miyano, do you happen to know, Sho, who he's really good friends with?
Who?
IRL. Yuki Kaji. They're best friends in real life.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
That's called a segue, Sho. That means it's your turn.
okay. Well, I love Yuki Kaji for one reason, and that is because he is sexy as fuck.
Oh man.
He's not lying. Like, he has a legit crush on Yuki Kaji.
Wait, do I? Wait, no, that's a different person. We met a different voice actor at AX, but I do have a crush on Yuki Kaji's voice in particular. I don't know how he looks. But anyways, he plays Eren Yeager in Attack on Titan, and, the last person I talked about, I was saying, oh, I love them screaming, and honey, Eren Yeager can scream, let me tell you that. But yeah, I
Can
love...
he do anything but scream?
No, but that's okay. That's
He cries.
Oh yeah, that's right. But he's like kind of screaming while he's crying, so.
True.
But yeah, no, I love his voice. I love his performance in Attack on Titan, especially as it goes on. I mean, I loved it in the first season, even though a lot of people would, I'm sure, contradict me because I think a lot of people find him annoying. But listen, I love that typical shonen.
Raise his hand.
Oh, fuck off. Okay, I love the typical like shonen protagonist, enthusiastic but like over emotional, angsty. I think he does it well. And in the later seasons, his character becomes more emotionally complicated, and I think that is well portrayed by Yuki Kaji. So, he's great at the simple stuff, great at the complicated stuff, but most of all, He got a cute voice though. And I,
Are you really just gonna gloss over his most important role he's ever had, though?
oh, what would that be?
Bananya.
Oh my god. Honey, no one can meow better than Yuki Kaji. Honey,
What a legend.
if you're into Catboys, you need to watch Bananya. Right now. Like right this second. You need Bananya in your life. But yeah, he also played Nishikata in Takagi-san. And he did a really good job at that because there was a lot of situations. I mean, the whole show is all about embarrassing Nishikata, and he does a really good job of sounding embarrassed. So props to that. I mean, he's played a lot of other things, but those are the two ones that stand out to me.
He's been around for a while, since 2006, as a matter of fact. So yeah, he's had a fair number of roles. He was Koichi and JoJo's.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Master, let's kill the hoe. I know that's echoes, but still, it's funny.
I mean, it's still him.
Yeah.
I
funny.
I really enjoyed how like Koichi's evolution also reflected in like how we voiced him. Because at first when he shows up, I honestly thought, oh, it's gonna be a fucking Speedwagon character. I'm gonna hate him because he's just useless.
How
And then by
fucking
the end
dare
of-
you call Speedwagon useless?
No, I mean I love Speedwagon, but he is useless. Anyway,
How
but then
fucking
by the
dare
end of the party, it's just an absolute Chad. You know, he's such a cool guy.
Yeah, like in part 4 specifically, like he starts out as this meek, shy boy, and then by the end of it, it turns into this like super confident dude, and I'm like, yeah, that's great. And Yuki Kaji just nails it with how he portrays it. Like he's so good at both portraying the skittish, shy version of Koichi, and then at the very end of it, he's like this super confident, like, hey, what you say to me?
SHIT beach.
There was something else I wanted to talk about too, but now I forgot.
My Hero Academia.
Well, no, I mean, yes, he probably was in that too, but I don't care.
Yeah, he was.
Who was he?
God,
Todoroki.
Oh, that's right. Not my favorite
Yeah.
role, but
Not your cup of tea, but yeah.
God, I know he was in something else that I wanted to talk about, but I fucking forgot.
He was in a lot of stuff. I mean, let's
Yeah,
be
he's
honest.
been in a shit ton of things. Yeah, Yuki Kaji's great. He's someone who can do a multitude of roles and do them all equally well. I think he's a very well-rounded voice actor.
Yeah, for sure.
He was the voice of Phoenix Wright in the Ace Attorney anime. That's what I was going to talk about. He played
Really?
that part really, really well.
Oh, you don't
yeah.
say.
Yeah, I love Yuki Kaji. I don't think he's like the fucking bee's knees like Show does, obviously. But he's great. So I guess one thing we haven't really talked about at all yet are English dubs, right?
what's that?
I know.
What is English?
You know, as much as we all still watch, or now I should say, watch primarily Japanese dubbed anime, I think it's worth talking about because there are still some really good standout English dub performances within the anime world. I mean, probably the first thing that comes to mind when you think of like a benchmark for what a good dub should be in English is probably the Cowboy Bebop dub.
Yeah.
It's all really, really well done. Another one would probably be the Full Metal Alchemist dub, both the original and Brotherhood.
Mhm.
Both of those are really, really good. And, you know, despite all the bullshit that surrounded it, whatever you may think now of Vic Mignogna, I still cannot think of Edward Elric and not hear Vic Mignogna's voice.
For sure. He totally he made great work of that role.
Yeah, no offense to Romy Park, who plays Ed in the Japanese version. Like, she nails it too. But just something about that performance, and I just can't not hear that voice when I think of Edward Elric.
Mm-hmm.
But one I wanted to talk about in particular, as an overall performance, is the English dub for the anime movie Premiere, which came out last year. It's phenomenal, and I think I know why. Part of the reason, at least, why it's phenomenal. It's because the crew that worked on it, and in particular the director of that movie, Hiroyuki Imaishi, actually had final say on who got cast in what role for the English dub. They actually had a very hands-on approach to how they did the English dub, and it really shows, because a lot of the voice actors they ended up choosing for the English dub really, really fit into the roles they were given. Especially, I would say, the voice of Leo Fotia being Johnny Young Bosch. But I think that's something that I know it's not feasible for every single anime adaptation or anime that gets an English dub, but God, I wish it were done more often, because it really shows in the increase in quality of the English dub for Premiere. And I don't know if that's the only factor that made it that way, but I have to think that it was probably an enormous factor that made it that way.
I don't have much to add because I haven't seen Premiere.
Well, you should fucking see it.
I haven't watched it
probably.
either.
God, you guys need to watch this shit. Well, I don't care whether it's in Japanese or English. Just go watch it. I've watched it 7 times. It's so fucking good. Like, okay, it's not it's Trigger, so you shouldn't take it too seriously. But it's a great love letter to Western anime fans, and that's exactly how you should watch it, in my opinion.
I know I love it. I just haven't seen it. I wish I could watch it in theaters, but that's never
that's
kind of
difficult right now, Natai.
I mean, before we had a fucking pandemic, you know.
Still.
Speaking of benchmark dubs, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, go ahead, because I know you want to talk about Bakano.
I'll never shut up about it. Yeah, I mean, when you said benchmark, you pretty much took the words out of my mouth. Like, that's Bakano's dub in a nutshell. I mean, the Japanese cast is also, like, absolutely stacked, and it's, like, so many it's really an ensemble cast in the Japanese dub, but specifically the English dub, I really want to highlight the fact that back then, when the dub came out, most of these actors were, like, kind of, like, pretty new to anime dubbing, and which is something that a lot of dubs in, like, the past decade or so are criticized for using the same actors over and over again, and some of them not being, like, really good. I mean, Bryce, what was his name? Paper Bro? I don't remember. The guy who, like,
something like that?
the guy who dubs Eren in Attack on Titan. I mean, I haven't seen a lot aside from, like, clips from season 1, but it's not great. And then, like, he shows up as Kirito, and I say, yo, and that whole complaint, sort of, it's interesting then to go back to Bakano, because a lot of these actors were nobodies. And so, like, shoutouts to, like, the ADR director, Tyler Walker, who, like, fucking spearheaded that production, because what turned out of it was absolutely incredible. Aside from, like, each member of the cast just knocking it out of the park, I really, really enjoy the attention to detail, whether it's, like, the accents that are, like, proper for the era that the show takes in, which is, like, during, I think, the 1930s in New York. It's just absolutely wonderful. I mean, J. Michael Tatum as Isaac is absolutely wonderful. I mean, Isaac and Mira in general, their dubs are just awesome. They're so lively and fun and energetic, and they're great. I love the Japanese sub as well, like the dub rather. But there's something about these two in the English dub that just feel much more natural, you know? Because when you're watching it in Japanese, like, it sort of sounds a bit off to me, when it's like, they're like Americans in the 1930s, but it's like, all squeaky voices for Miria, you know. I am blanking on. I should have checked actually who voices Miria in the Japanese dub. But yeah, I don't know. I just really like the dub. Just really works in that setting, you know.
I think the thing about the Bakano dub in particular is that translating those accents was never going to work in Japanese.
For sure.
It never would have worked in Japanese. Even if they had even tried it, it would have come off as really hokey. But they nailed it with the English voice acting, and it's even like how well that's done is amplified by the fact that a lot of these people are not native New Englanders that are doing these voices.
Yeah.
So they're actually putting on an accent as well.
Also, shout outs to Brian Massey? I don't know if I pronounced it right, but the guy who voices Lad Russo, my god, like he absolutely sells every scene he is in. And like I'm praising the dub so much, and I'm not trying to take away from the original Japanese cast because they are wonderful as well. They're like really fucking good. It just specifically for that show, the fact that the English dub works so well is so helpful in like grounding that whole world, you know, because the show really like is for the most part pretty grounded in reality, and
minus all the supernatural shit.
Minus all the supernatural bullshit that goes on. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like a period piece to some extent.
By the way, I went and looked it up. Miria is voiced by Caitlin Glass in the English dub.
I was wondering who was the Japanese VA.
Oh, the Japanese voice is Sayaka Aoki.
Sounds familiar. I'm not sure.
I'm looking at some of the other stuff that she's done besides
that
Bakano.
Does sound familiar.
Not just Kyo's sister in Haruhi. Yes, I almost said Monogatari. I don't know why.
No, we're not in that sister. It's not that sister. Not yet.
Not that sister. No. God.
But yeah, I mean, Bakano either sub or dub is fucking great, and yes, just wanted to highlight specifically the dub because it's so good. I'm happy that this past year I've actually seen more and more videos about the dub on YouTube, which is great. It's really fun to get the show, like to see more people talk about the show. So yeah, go watch Bakano. It's really good.
It's great that they put that much effort into getting the accents right too, which is something like you'll see occasionally, even in English dubs, where there'll be a character who is supposed to be from a place where there's a pronounced or noticeable accent, and they won't even try. And I'm like, well, okay. I mean, that's fine. I know it was probably difficult for you, but give me some effort, please.
Yeah.
That's why I appreciate the Bakano dub so much, is because they clearly went above and beyond what was expected of them to do for a dub, and they're like, nah, we're not just gonna do okay. We're gonna knock this shit out of the park.
Would highly recommend going and like learning more about the dub, because just there's so much to it, so much effort put into it. It shows. It just really quality, and it deserves to be up there with Bebop as like some of the best works in terms of like dubbing, because it is that good.
And definitely, if you haven't seen Bakano, definitely give it a shot. It's well worth your time. Like you say, in dub or sub, it's well worth your time.
Yeah.
And it takes place in the same universe as Durarara.
You should watch Durarara.
Still need to watch it.
I mean, you should watch Durarara too, but
I really should.
My boy Johnny Young Bosch is in Durarara too.
Yeah, I just could never figure out if I want to watch it first in Japanese or English. That's the only reason why I haven't watched it yet.
What? Durarara?
Yeah.
Oh, the English dub for Durarara is really good.
Yeah, but I heard that the sub is also fucking great.
Oh, they're both great. They're both you cannot go wrong with Durarara, whether you're watching sub or dub. Like they're both really, really good. I was gonna say there's who is it in the Durarara dub that plays Simon? Shit. I think it's not Yuri Lowenthal, is it? God, I can't remember. I know whoever it is. So Simon's actually a Russian character, and the person who did his voice in the English dub actually spoke Russian. So there are
Huh.
moments where he starts speaking Russian, and it's like genuine, like because the voice actor knew Russian. I think it's Yuri Lowenthal, but I can't remember off the top of my head, and I don't have it up right in front of me.
Have you heard of the fan-made cut of? I haven't watched it, but the Psychopaths movie that came out a few years ago, I think. So it features both Japanese characters and American characters.
Mm.
So in the Japanese, obviously all of them speak Japanese, and in the English dub, all of them speak English. But apparently, there's a fan-made cut that pretty much changes like the tracks around. So whenever it's American, they speak English, and whenever it's Japanese, they speak Japanese. Haven't checked it out because I haven't watched past the first season, but it's pretty cool.
Mm.
Like, I like stuff like that.
I was wrong. It was not Yuri Lowenthal. I went and looked it up right now. It's Patrick Seitz who did his voice in who did
Patrick
Simon's
Sykes, that sounds...
Simon's voice in do ra 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 ra.
Mm-hmm. Roll those R's.
Not Patrick Swayze.
No, not Patrick Swayze. Although that would be fucking awesome. No. So probably the reason Patrick Seitz' name is because he is the English voice of Dio Brando.
Also Vegeta, right?
Yes, I believe.
No
I
way,
believe
no
so.
way.
I think so.
No, that's not that Patrick.
I don't know. I don't watch fucking. I don't watch Dragon Ball anymore.
You've watched this, like, you've watched Dragon Ball at some point or
Oh
another?
yeah, at some point, but that was like fucking 15 plus years ago now.
Also, no, I'm totally wrong. There's no way it's Vegeta.
I don't know.
I'm making a solid.
I know he was in both Naruto and Bleach, but I don't know. No, he was. I guess he was. He's never been in Dragon Ball.
No.
Oh no, wait, he was in Dragon Ball Super. Never mind. I'm lying.
Who watches that?
Uh,
I'm kidding.
I mean, not me.
Not me.
But
Anyway.
Great voice of Dio, by the way. He sells that character really, really well.
Actually, yeah, like I enjoyed what I saw of his part in the JoJo dub.
Yeah. But speaking of Dio,
Who does Dio?
What do you mean? It's our god, is our Lord and Savior Takehito Koyasu, which is an absolute mad lad. So let me
Oh no.
listen. Even
no.
if you haven't watched JoJo's, you know this guy.
Who?
You
he's
know
been
why?
in literally
Because
everything.
he's in everything. So the thing with watching JoJo's, so I mean, Dio is without question, like probably my favorite performance of his, because he absolutely nails that, just an absolute shithead. It's so fun seeing him just go overboard with his portrayal of Dio, because Dio is like a maniac, and it's great. But once you see JoJo, it's all over now. It's all ogre now, because whenever you'll watch this certain anime, you'll be having a good time. Oh, ReZero is really fun. I like ReZero. And then this fucking guy shows up and, oh, Roswell sounds familiar. I wonder why. Let's Google it. Oh, it's Dio. Oh shit. And then you notice he's everywhere. He fucking, it's absolutely everywhere. I was watching, like, wasn't playing on it, but I was watching like High School DxD with some of my mates, and they're watching season 4.
I highly doubt that.
Mm-hmm.
They were watching season 4, I think. I was like watching with them because I was like, fucking, it's a good meme. Sure, let's do it.
Oh, no, I highly doubt that they forced you, or if they did, they didn't have to try very hard.
Oh, they didn't force me. I just thought it would be like a good meme, and it was. And then this fucking guy shows up. I don't even remember the name of the character. I'm just gonna keep looking for it. And I'm like, this guy sounds familiar. And like, why? So look it up, and it's Dio, and he's in everywhere. I mean, but on a more serious note, he's such a talented actor. I mean, heck, he voices a character in Valid Evergarden. And what was
Claudia,
Hudgens,
which
right?
is the weirdest thing ever to call a male character.
Yeah. Wait, what was his family name then? Hudgens.
Hudgens,
right?
I think. Yes.
Hudgens, yeah, and he's great in it. You know, he just nails it.
Which is
It's like
like he's really good at, he's played fucking Dio in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Like he can nail the villainous role, especially with his voice. Like he can sell a villain easily with his voice. But how he's able in Violet Evergarden to portray this like soft, demure, like guy who
very
just wants to
gentle
do
person.
something good for the world after this horrible war. It's like, wow, it's so good.
His range is absolutely awesome. And like again, it kind of turns into a meme of, oh, Dio is in this show, ho ho, and and that's great and all. But he is like such a talented actor. I absolutely love it whenever he shows up, especially in like parts where you just don't expect it. Like heck, when he shows up in Monogatari as Tadaratsu was his name, I think.
Yes.
Whenever when he showed up, it's like, if it's a very small part, he shows up for maybe total of 3 episodes in the entire show, but he has such an impact in terms of his character because he just sells that role, and it's a very subdued role, very understated, and it's great. Again, like I know it kind of sounds funny to mention it, but for all of these actors, it also always sounds like they're bringing their A game. It never sounds like they're phoning it in, which kind of sounds weird. But then you look at fucking a lot of Western voice acting. It like sometimes you're like, oh, you'll come across like a certain performance where it just sounds kind of meh, and maybe it's not the fault of the actors. Maybe it's the fault of like the ADR team or like the directors who work with them, but with Japanese, at least for me, I still haven't come across a certain show where I'm like, yeah, not feeling it. And maybe it is the language barrier, but I don't know. For me, it always feels like they're like bringing their A game, you know?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's probably a more so of a thing where they've been doing this for a lot longer. So they kind of know what they're doing by now. And you look at especially older English dubs, it was a lot of people who didn't have a lot of voiceover experience. Like they came from the realm of like theater acting or radio, some people. And some people didn't even really have any formal training as actors.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like a bit of like on a personal, kind of been frustrating to watch some like Western animated movies or shows and be like, it's just gonna be disappointed with some of the performances. But yeah, it's like I really appreciate Takehito Koyasu's work, specifically because even though he's such a prolific voice actor, he shows up in so many places. Like, fuck, I'm watching One Piece and he shows up as like a pretty big character, and it's like, damn, he absolutely nails the part, and it feels like its own character, and I'm every now and then he'll show up and I'm just like, fuck yeah.
You know, on the same vein as someone who probably has a very recognizable voice as Takehito Koyasu is probably Sugita. Like, that's a voice you can recognize from a mile away.
Yeah, dude, Sugita absolutely nails it. I mean, and fucking Joseph Joestar in part 2.
Yeah.
He absolutely nails the part, and like, it's so, and you can tell that these guys are just having a blast.
Yeah.
Whenever we talk about
Sugita,
especially Sugita, I mean, fuck, you watch.
I was gonna say, the amazing thing with him is that he plays both comedy and drama equally well.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you look at a role like, I mean, Joseph Joestar in part 2 can be kind of comedic, but it is kind of a more serious role. But then, like, you look at a pure comedy like Hidenori from The Daily Lives of High School Boys. Like, he fucking nails that shit.
Jack. Shoutouts to his performance as Gintoki and Gintama as well. I mean, I know you two haven't watched it.
No.
Right?
No, but I know he's kind of become iconic for that role.
Pretty much. His whole character in that show is absolutely fantastic. is because that show is primarily a comedy, but it sometimes like delves into more serious subjects and kind of tragic stories, and he absolutely nails like the sort of like very, I don't know to say scarred character, but very much like a grown up. You know, he's like I think he's like 27 years old in that character in the show, and you can feel that sort of maturity and be more sort of a grounded personality he has, even though most of the time it's very much hijinks and bullshit and all of that.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking for a really like nuanced performance, not all of the time in terms of like the serious aspects of it, but yeah, Gintama, his work there is great.
Yeah, and it's just like his voice. It's like it. You hear it. All you got to hear is like one or two words, and it's like that's Sagita.
Pretty much. Pretty
And
much.
he loves VTubers.
Wait, did he simp? Is he simping?
Yes, he simps for
Oh,
Asada
no.
Pekra. Shit.
That's great.
It is. It is. It's bringing us all together. Definitely. So I'm trying to figure out a way to actually end this because we've been going for about an hour. Is there anyone left that you want to talk about, Show, before we roll on out of here?
I guess I'll do a quick mention to Yoshitsugu Matsuoko.
You said
I don't
shit.
even know if I spelled that right, but I tried my best.
Let's find out.
Who plays Kirito in Sword Art Online. Best character ever. I'm joking, but I do like his voice. But more prominently, not prominently, more significantly, he plays Betelgeuse from Manekanter Death in ReZero.
You want to try that again?
No.
Betelgeuse Dominicante. Des!
Yes. Which honestly is like literally one of the best voiced characters I've seen in a long time. And who is like so polarly opposite, or not opposite, but just such completely different from what you'd expect from someone who played Kirito. But no, Betelgeuse is just amazing, and he also plays Soma from Food Wars, which he does really well. Love his voice.
Shit, that's right.
And I think he's Betelgeuse was like his best acting performance, so he's clearly very talented.
It's like you look at his performance as Kirito in Sword Art Online, and then you like back to back look at Beetlejuice from ReZero. It's like, how is this the same actor?
I have
Like, what the
no
fuck?
idea.
Yeah, it's kind of insane.
crazy.
It is insane.
That to me though, that is actually the mark. Like we shit on Sword Art Online, and I think rightfully so on this podcast a lot. But
Oh, don't get me started.
But I think that's actually the mark of a really good voice actor, is like you can look at two different roles and think, how is this the same person doing this voice?
Well, to be fair, he didn't have much to work with for Kirito, so
Yeah, Kirito
he could
is a
only
wet
do
noodle,
so
you're
much
right.
for him, honey. But he did what he could.
I do.
He's had some
I
other
do
really
like-
prominent roles too. I mean, he's Sora from No Game No Life. He's Belle and
Yeah.
Danmachi.
Also, like, it's kind of, when I noticed it, it felt so like a maybe, like, it felt kind of like a meta joke to some extent, but I like how sometimes he's picked for, even it's like very small characters, sort of as like a joke role, you know? Like, when I was watching, what was it? Yeah, I think it was Rising of the Shield Hero. So,
Yeah.
the Sword Hero is the same, it's the same voice actor as Kirito. And to some extent, like, I don't know, to me it felt like, oh, maybe it's sort of like a meta thing that they picked the guy who voiced this Kirito to voice this guy, because it's pretty much,
Sword and
The
Shield.
same. I don't know, Shield, but yeah, it's pretty much like the same character, you know?
Yeah. I hate Shield Hero so much.
It's alright.
Lest I forget, he was also best boy in Demon Slayer, Inosuke.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Who's
God.
that?
You don't, Natai.
I haven't watched him. so-
Fucking watch Demon Slayer, you
You
chud.
uncultured swine. There's a pun there. That you don't
I'm
get.
just gonna go watch it and it'll be like, oh, it's okay, and
All right,
everyone's
you
like,
can't-
oh no,
You can't see this show, but I'm actually really trying not to laugh at that pun.
Thank you. He has a pig on his head. That was the joke.
Oh, it's that
Yeah.
guy. Oh.
Yeah, why don't you
I see.
fucking watch it?
You know, I still haven't finished Demon Slayer.
'Cause
I'm like 15 episodes in.
God! What is this shit? This.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Go
fucking
ahead,
tilted
yeah.
right now.
Keep going.
Say
I
something.
guess.
No, I'm gonna say something I'm gonna regret.
Oh, please be my guest.
Whore. You
Do it.
fucking whores.
Oh.
Jeez. Watch. How is it possible that it's been over a year and you haven't watched Demon Slayer? What the actual fuck?
Who are you talking to?
It's-
Nitai?
Yeah,
Yes, Natai.
I don't know. I'll just watch it. I'm currently watching other things.
He's a busy man.
when it got
He's
so-
got stuff to do.
Yeah, I'm watching good shows. It's just, I'll tell you what, like, it's very, very small tangent. When a show gets that popular, it just like, I don't know, it felt kind of like people were overhyping it. So I was like, I'm just gonna wait for the hype to die down and watch it without having any expectations.
I'm pretty sure this hype ain't dying down anytime soon.
Yeah, especially the fucking movie that just,
It's
whoa, dude.
blasting through every single record in fucking Japanese cinema history.
Yeah, but I will watch it. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. Like,
No, I just, as someone,
Yeah.
you know me, I'm not huge into
Who are you?
shonen. But
you love JoJo.
I love, that's
kidding, I'm
different.
kidding.
That's different.
I know.
No,
I'm messing
but
with
I'm
you.
just saying, if coming from someone who doesn't really care that much about the shonen genre anymore, I'm here to tell you, Natai, it's a really good shonen and you should watch it.
And coming from someone who does like the shonen genre, I haven't finished it.
I'll watch it sometime.
This is why we can't have nice things. But no, yeah, this guy's voice acting, to get us back on track, is just absolutely stellar, though.
Kirito?
It's, yeah. Yoshi, by the way, you got it wrong by one letter, so I'll give you credit for that.
Is the last letter A?
Yes.
Yeah, I felt there was something wrong there. Listen, there's a lot of vowels,
Yes!
and there's a lot going on in that name.
Oh my god.
Show,
he
you've
has
been very
this guy has a
slothful.
world record to his name, by the way.
Longest
What do you mean?
sword?
No, that says
No.
as of June 17th, 2019, he is the current Guinness World Record holder for the most unique sound bites provided by a voice actor in a video game.
Lovely.
It exceeded
Okay.
it exceeded 10,000 lines for the Danmachi game Memoria Frieze.
Oh no,
So he has 10,000 unique lines in the game. Holy shit.
poor guy.
Yeah, poor guy. Why couldn't they give that to Hestia? I mean, what?
It's just a string, dude. It's just a string.
Listen, it may be just a string to you, but to me, it's hope.
Okay.
You're
I-
a sad little man.
I don't know where I'm going with that except to say thank you everyone out there for dropping in to listen to us tonight. Check out the description below to find links to Anime Club After Dark on Twitch, social media, and Discord. Check out our merch store and our affiliate links as well. Any purchases you make there really do help us out. With that, I have been your host, Alex, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, guys.
Good night.
Ugh, my ass hurts. Fuck.
Oh. Okay.
Why?
Just my chair, dude. That's it. Okay.
Oh, you need a new chair. It's almost Christmas.
You should probably not use the dildo-shaped chair for recording.
Fuck is right.
Go!